So say you're me and you're at school getting ready to teach a class and you get another memo about, well, who knows what the memo is about. Probably another meeting agenda or a training seminar they'd want you to attend. And while you're likely to learn something illuminating and innovative and maybe even life-changing, you'll be away from work, which means you'll have a lot to catch up on. This memo is about learning networks. Remember Liverpool in 2006 when the local authority arranged all city schools into 10 different learning communities? Great idea. Put us in predetermined groups and make us talk to each other. But not about what we had for lunch or how the team lost again. No, the focus was to be learning only, which is fair, I suppose. It is work after all, but it's hard to connect with the people in your group when all you know about them is their pedagogical philosophy. So they formed a committee to figure out how to let teachers talk to each other, with senior management and people with fancy titles. And once established, participants could go ahead and create programs that allowed teachers to talk. Mark O'Brien, along with some of his colleagues, interviewed the Learning Network coordinators and sent surveys to headmasters who were supposed to circulate the questionnaires to everyone else. They wanted to see what we thought about the Learning Network and what the network meant to us. O'Brien read and sorted and categorized responses, making 4 broad observations about our attitudes. First, turns out a bunch of educators really believe that these learning networks were just part of the government's plan to get re-elected. Second, lots of respondents thought improving student achievement was the motivation behind their implementation. Third, we're not likely going to use the learning network for short-term stuff, but most of us do think it will be good for our long-term professional development. Fourth, headmasters, it seems, are more skeptical than most. They just know that despite the presence of a big steering committee, they are the ones that will have to sell it in the schools, even if they aren't real clear on the learning network's purpose. O'Brien and his colleagues learned from this experience that ownership and independence and self-determination are important elements of a learning network. He suggested that if we ever do this again, our learning network should have clearly defined purpose and embody the noble values of trust, openness, and integrity. Now, social media has a whole lot of stuff not about learning, but a bunch of university-type scholars got a hold of it, started using Twitter's 140 characters to do serious stuff. In 2010, George Veletsianos creeped a bunch of academics to find out how they used Twitter for their own professional learning. In order to be creep-worthy, the scholar had to be a PhD employed by a higher education institution with an active public Twitter profile and at least 2,000 followers, the kind of Twitter user that could shed light on exactly how social networks could be used as learning networks. Several researchers combed through, sort, and categorized the last 100 tweets from each of the 45 scholars he studied. He found that their tweets generally served 7 functions: sharing things with each other, accessing learning opportunities, getting or giving advice, personal and professional branding activities, networking with others, bridging other social media platforms. Veletsianos even acknowledged the contributions of trivial tweets to making connections with others. Sharing personal details publicly adds dimensionality to the online persona. When the learning network is controlled by the individual, it has great capacity for change and specialization. So Veletsianos found out what network learners are doing on Twitter. Rory C. found out why network learners find it so valuable. In 2013, C had a brainstorming session with 34 academics who had self-directed learning networks. C was interested in the network's social relationships. He had participants describe the other people in the networks, who they were, how close they were, what did they learn from them, and how did they connect. He found that almost half were described as both colleagues and friends. C sorted, organized, and categorized the tweets and identified 7 factors contributing to professional learning. They liked sharing. They're enthusiastic about the social aspects of learning. They find valuable information and resources in the network. They get feedback on their ideas, and they learn things from each other, and they feel a sense of trust and support, and their connections are good and intelligent people. C says that learning networks rely on the intrinsic rewards of give and take. What's different with social media is we can include people both near and far, socially close or distant, in a self-managed learning network that's integrated into our daily practice. Management is now taking a grassroots, bottom-up approach to creating learning networks. They're basing this new approach on 2011 research by Hanraets. She analyzed interviews of several people with experience facilitating professional learning networks. The learning networks will be independent and self-directed, and a facilitator will work with me to make initial connections with people and content that will help me meet those needs. The learning networks will be integrated into daily practice, and the facilitator will help me make time in my day to participate. The learning networks will use my choice of communication technology to connect and collaborate with the people both inside and outside the organization. The facilitator will even work with me to develop effective communication skills on social media and find opportunities for face-to-face meetings. This new approach, the memo says, is an effort to nurture a climate of learning throughout the organization. I think I'm going to like this.